What is freedom to you, Malcolm?
I think freedom is to not crave, not want, not grasp onto things. Because everything's changing, to the extent that we grasp onto things that change, to that extent we will have suffering. So if we let go of things that are changing and let them change, not grasp onto them and identify with them and become something around them, then that's freedom.
That doesn't sound so easy to do or simple.
No, it's very hard. It's very hard. I'm certainly not. I still cling to things. I know that I cling to things because I know I still have suffering on it. In Pali, it's a term called dukkha. Dukkha means an ill-fitting axle in a wheel. That's what it literally means. Duk means wrong and khat means wheel. And so dukkha means suffering. It's often translated as suffering, but it's probably best understood as unsatisfactoriness. When I was a monk many, many years ago, we used to do chanting. We used to do a lot of chanting, and we would regularly chant what dukkha was. And it was difficulties associated with birth, aging, sickness and death. Pain, that includes emotional pain. Grief, lamentation and despair. Not getting what you want, getting what you don't want, and being parted from that which is dear to you. And in fact, clinging to a sense of self that is lasting and permanent is dukkha. That very clinging and holding on tightly to a sense that I'm here and this is me, and I am that and I am this. To the extent that we cling to that, there is unsatisfactoriness. So this unsatisfactoriness goes from the gross right down to the very, very subtle. And I often make an example of this. The gross end of the spectrum of dukkha is related to those really difficult experiences that we have when we're dying, and when we lose someone, we've got severe illness and so on. The gross stuff. And the subtle stuff is that dissatisfaction about not getting our soy chai latte exactly how we want it.
Can we still love without attachment? Is that possible?
Absolutely. Look, I wrote something on this because my eldest son and his partner had a pregnancy, and after 5 months they lost the child, and it was really, really distressing. It was distressing for me and it was distressing for my son. And I thought about this. Well, I didn't think about it much. I just experienced a lot of pain, of course, at the loss of a potential grandchild. I have 5 grandchildren at the moment. Mm-hmm. And the thought of not having one of those grandchildren is really painful. I've also had 3 sons, so I think it's the worst possible experience to lose a child because it's sort of contrary to our biological programming, I suppose, because we're here to support our children. And I think about this and I remember how important it was to develop an attachment to my children. In the psychological sense, there's a whole theory around it, attachment theory, which means it's important that you love someone and it's important that those children know you love them. There's so many things that are related to that, like the development of a human being relies on feeling love from their parent. So, I've made effort to love my children and know they love me. And it's the price I pay. If I suffered from the loss of them, it is the price I'm willing to pay, because it's so important for me to have a sense of, have that love for them, have them know that I love them and I care for them and I'm here to protect them and so on. So when we do experience the pain, which is heartbreaking, it tears our hearts apart. It's like a knife that goes into the heart. It's like a scar that we have. It's like a scar that we have in our heart. And it heals. At first we can't do much, we can't function very well, but it does heal. But it's always there. It's like a scar that's always there, and we touch on it, it hurts. And I've had siblings. My brothers died, my parents died many, many years ago. When I press on that scar of that wound in my heart, it hurts. But I'm okay with that. It's an honouring of their lives. I honour that pain and I deal with the pain and I work with it. And it is just what it is. It's the price I pay for the love that I have for my parents and my brother and all beings. From a Buddhist perspective, love is really relating to oneself and others with a quality of letting go, a quality of not clinging to outcomes or not clinging to expectations. It's just being completely present and open with oneself and others. Love is kind of articulated or demonstrated in 4 qualities, in Buddhism anyway. These 4 qualities are warm benevolence, compassion, appreciative joy, sometimes called sympathetic joy or empathetic joy, but I like to call it appreciative joy, and equanimity. So compassion, loving kindness, warm benevolence is this unconditional acceptance of things, seeing the beauty and the lovely qualities of things in yourself and experience and in others. It's an aspiration for happiness. It's a light-hearted thing. Compassion is this sensitivity to suffering and the wish to alleviate it. So it's a different quality than loving kindness. But warm benevolence is also called metta, or loving kindness is usually called loving kindness. But I call it benevolence because the word love has so many different connotations about it. So there's compassion, which is the sensitivity to suffering and a commitment to alleviate it. So these, at their pure ends, their genuine ends, these are unconditional. Appreciative joy is having the joy of witnessing and realizing wholesome qualities, like seeing it in another, seeing it in oneself, appreciating. It's like gratitude. I think gratitude and appreciative joy are sort of cousins or almost the same thing. It's like this joy that arises, this heartfelt joy and openness that arises when you see someone who has wonderful virtues, lovely qualities, or they succeed in many things. And it's also that related to yourself. It's a sense of gratitude for yourself. Okay. It's an opening up to your own good qualities rather than denying these things or being cynical about them. We're just open to these qualities. And equanimity, and it's really needed. Equanimity is the balancing of all these. So equanimity is this steadiness and unshaken quality of mind. And in relationships, there's many different ways of describing equanimity. But in relationships and in terms of love, it is the understanding that each and every individual is on their own life trajectory. No matter what you do, you can't change that individual. They have to change from within themselves. So it's a deep acceptance of the way we are, and it's a deep acceptance of the way others are.